Wow. 9 minutes packed with AI insights. So we're basically giving our listeners the VIP tour of this info today.
It is a fascinating tour. I'm excited to cut through all that hype and give everyone a clear picture of what AI really is, like how it's already woven into our lives and then where it might be headed.
I love it. So less buzzwords, more aha moments. Sounds good to me. Let's start with the basics then. What does artificial intelligence actually mean? Because it can sometimes feel like it's straight out of science fiction.
Right. It totally can. But at its core, AI is really about machines kind of mimicking how we think, understanding language, recognizing patterns and solving problems. It's about replicating those human capabilities, but in a machine.
So like those chess-playing computers from way back when. That was early AI, right?
Exactly. And it wasn't about, robots taking over or anything like that. It was about those baby steps, laying the groundwork. Since like the 1950s, scientists have been working on this idea of making machines think. What's really changed is computing power. Plus, just the explosion of data we have now. And algorithms. They're getting seriously smart. Think of them like the recipes AI systems use.
Okay, so it's like AI had all the right ingredients before, but now the recipe is top-notch.
Exactly.
Which is probably why it feels like AI is everywhere now. The script mentioned different types of AI, though. Like Siri feels different from, say, a self-driving car, right?
Absolutely, and it's a super crucial distinction. Siri is a great example of what's called narrow AI. It's a specialist. It nails voice commands and answers your questions, but it can't, design a building or write a novel.
Gotcha.
Self-driving cars, while they are complex, they're still narrow AI too. They're focused on navigating roads and traffic, avoiding obstacles. They're not out there, composing symphonies, at least not yet.
Not yet. So narrow AI is everywhere. It's the AI we interact with daily, but it's really task-specific.
Exactly. And that's really important to remember when you hear these, big, exciting claims about AI reaching human-level intelligence.
Right.
That's general AI, and it's still largely theoretical. We're not talking about machines having, opinions or emotions.
Right.
At least not yet.
Okay, that's reassuring in a way. But let's talk about those everyday narrow AI encounters. It's not just Siri and self-driving cars, right? What else are we encountering without even realizing it?
Oh, so much. Think about those hyper-specific recommendations you get on Netflix or Spotify. That's AI analyzing what you watch and listen to and predicting what you'll enjoy next. It's like having a personal entertainment curator, basically.
Okay, so AI is shaping my watch list, which actually explains a lot. What else am I encountering and probably not even realizing it?
Social media is a big one. Those posts and ads you see. They're not random at all. They're curated by AI algorithms that are literally designed to keep you scrolling. They learn from every like, every comment, every share, and predict what's going to keep your attention.
That's both impressive and a little unnerving, if I'm being honest.
The key is just being aware of it. And it's not just online, right? Think about healthcare. AI is being used to analyze massive amounts of medical data to help diagnose diseases earlier, personalize treatments, even predict patient outcomes.
So it's becoming this really powerful tool for doctors.
Exactly. And it's doing the same thing in finance, used for fraud detection, algorithmic trading, and in transportation. Of course, there's self-driving cars, but it goes beyond that. AI is optimizing traffic flow and making public transportation more efficient.
It's clear that AI is already having a huge impact on how we live and work. And, well, it's only going to get more integrated into our lives as we go.
Yeah, and, it's like we're at this turning point where this technology that used to feel so like sci-fi is now very much part of our world.
It's exciting for sure, but as with any powerful tool we have, to be smart about how we use it. The script mentioned AI being a double-edged sword. What did they mean by that?
It's about understanding that AI has just this incredible potential for good, but it also has these challenges that come with it. We can't just focus on all the shiny possibilities and forget about the potential downsides.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about those. What are some of the biggest concerns people have about AI?
One that comes up all the time is this idea of job displacement. As AI gets more and more sophisticated, there's this fear that certain tasks or even entire job categories could become automated. And, that could lead to job losses in certain industries.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be concerned about.
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to have these conversations now about workforce retraining and making sure education is keeping up. As some jobs change, new ones are going to emerge. So preparing people for that shift is going to be key.
It's not just about AI taking jobs, but maybe changing what work looks like, how we think about work.
Yeah.
What other challenges are there?
Another big one, and this is really important, is making sure that AI is developed and used responsibly. Remember those algorithms we talked about? The ones that are like the brains behind these AI systems?
Right.
Well, those algorithms are only as good as the data that they're trained on.
So if the data has biases, those biases are going to be in AI too.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to make sure that the data that's used to train AI is diverse, it's representative, and it's free from bias as much as possible. We need to be really intentional about creating AI that is fair, it's unbiased, and it benefits everyone equally.
That makes sense. What other challenges should we be thinking about?
Transparency is another big one. As these AI systems get more and more complex, it's more important that we understand how they're making decisions, especially when those decisions have, real world consequences.
So being able to look under the hood and understand why AI is doing what it's doing.
Exactly. We need to be able to understand how AI arrives at its conclusions, especially in really sensitive areas like healthcare or finance, where those decisions have a big impact.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot to consider as we go, but let's switch gears for a second and talk about the potential, because there is a lot of it. The script highlighted some pretty amazing possibilities.
It is mind-blowing when you really think about it. Imagine a world where AI is helping us solve some of the world's biggest problems, like developing new medical treatments, combating climate change, or even creating new sustainable energy sources.
It's like AI could give us this boost. We'd have this ability to tackle these challenges in a whole new way.
Exactly. And then even on a more everyday level, right? Imagine AI helping us to personalize education, tailoring learning plans to individual needs and learning styles.
I love that idea.
Or what about AI assistants that can not only schedule our appointments, but can actually help us manage our time better and prioritize our tasks more effectively?
It's almost like AI could free us up to focus on the things that require that human element. Creativity, ingenuity, empathy.
That's the dream, isn't it? That AI can handle those more mundane tasks, the repetitive things, and then we're freed up to focus on the things that bring us joy and purpose and, allow us to connect with each other on a deeper level.
I love that. Okay, we've talked a lot about what AI can do, but what about how it learns? The script kept mentioning this term machine learning. What is that exactly?
It's a fantastic question, and honestly, people use the terms AI and machine learning interchangeably all the time, which can get confusing. Think of machine learning as like the engine within AI. It's how computers can learn from data without being specifically programmed every single step of the way.
So instead of giving a computer a list of rules, you give it a ton of data and it figures out the patterns on its own.
Exactly. It's like that saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. With machine learning, we're teaching the computer how to learn. That way it can adapt to new situations and solve new problems that it hasn't seen before.
Wow, that's incredible. So how does that actually work?
Well, there are different learning styles for machines, just like there are for people. One type is called supervised learning. It's where we give the algorithm what we call labeled data. So it's data that has the right answers already attached to it. The algorithm's job is to figure out the relationship between that data and those labels, so it can then make predictions on new data it hasn't seen before.
So it's learning from example.
Exactly. Think of it like training a dog. It treats the labels when it does the behavior you want, correctly identifying the patterns in the data. And over time, it gets better and better at that task.
Makes sense. Are there other learning styles too?
Absolutely. There's unsupervised learning, and this is where the algorithm gets unlabeled data. So it doesn't have all the answers up front, and its job is to analyze that data and find the patterns and relationships on its own.
So it's like giving someone a jigsaw puzzle, but there's no picture on the box. They just have to figure out how all the pieces fit together.
Exactly. And it's amazing because that's how we get those super accurate recommendations online, or how fraud detection systems are able to catch things that we wouldn't even notice.
This is blowing my mind. Okay, and then there was that third one, reinforcement learning. It sounds kind of intense.
It is. It's the most independent style, you could say. This is where the algorithm basically learns through trial and error. It gets rewarded for making good choices, and then it might get penalized for the bad ones.
So it's like learning to ride a bike. You fall off, you adjust how you're doing it, and then eventually you're cruising.
Exactly. And that's how we get these incredible AI systems that can play games like chess or Go at superhuman levels. They've learned through literally millions of simulated games, constantly refining their strategies based on what works and what doesn't.
That's incredible. It's amazing how much progress has been made in AI and machine learning. So what does the future hold? Where do we go from here? It feels like we've only just dipped our toes into the world of AI, and look how much we've covered.
There's always more to learn, of course. But hopefully now you have a better sense of what AI is and what it can do, and just as important, its potential impact.
It's not about becoming, AI experts overnight.
Right.
But it's about all of us becoming more informed, more engaged with this technology that's only going to become a bigger part of our lives.
I love it. Informed and engaged. Those are the key words, because the future of AI isn't some predetermined thing. It's something that we're actively creating by the choices that we're making right now.
So to wrap up here, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this deep dive today?
That AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for incredible good. But it takes all of us thinking about it, considering the ethical implications and, making sure we're all working together to steer this technology in a direction that benefits everyone.
It's really about making sure that we're using this powerful technology in a way that aligns with our values.
Exactly. And never losing sight of that human element.
Beautifully said. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of AI. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.
And stay engaged.